And though I wanted to, we try to make it as interactive as possible, but maybe we can have a question answer session later on. Now, the idea about this talk is that we all go through this kind of phenomena of being a mentee or a mentorship in one or the other way. Sometimes we don't even know that we are what we are doing. In many institutions, there is a formal system where the mentors and mentees are assigned to individuals. And as such, one may say that there is no training required. But in fact, there are a lot of things because which one learn by certain training. The reason being that because we all have different type of nature, different by nature, different attitude and things. So we need to sometime modify those things. That is why it is important to learn about who can be a mentor or who cannot. And likewise, when it comes to the selection of mentee, again, it's the students who are given a chance. Are they given a chance or not? That is another thing. Because sometimes they are assigned to a particular mentor. And so what is the difference? The difference is sometimes you may not, match your views, your things and certain things. And that's why the chemistry doesn't work. So these are the kind of things that it is better if the students are given a chance. We'll discuss those things in a while. So let's moving from there to that this mentorship or mentoring is something which is not new. It has been there since long, right? And people consider this critical to advancement of academic medicine particularly. There are certain things which are very unique in medicine, and though in other sciences and other disciplines, they have also adopted those. Like in medicine, there are things which have been adopted from other disciplines. So mentorship, for instance, and the history taking, all these things are purely, they originated from academic medicine, and it is quite old. So the academic environment and its members have changed. Well, they are talking about the time when the Greek philosophers were there and they has been in existence. But there remains an important place, formalized, establishment-based mentoring or hierarchical mentoring relationship that exist. Now, the definition, this is the thing. There are various definitions you will come across. What is mentoring? I mean, just sit with somebody and start, discussing things and try to mentor, or it is something more. So, or is it an offline means that you are not sometime given it is not your official duty to, but you consider that you want to help somebody you like, somebody, who needs some help. So in those cases, you mentor that individual, and the individual who is a mentee also seek help from you or another individual. So mentor is more experienced individual who from his previous experience has learned a lot from his teachers, from his elders and so, which can be passed on to a more junior person, that is a mentee. Now, those terminologies about mentor, mentee, and the relationship, these are being debated. But it all happens when there is, or it can all happen when there is a mutual trust between the two. This is the most important thing. If the trust is not there between the mentor and the mentee, well, success can be questioned. It is very difficult to be successful without this mutual trust. So this is the foremost important thing for the mentor or mentoring relationship. So mentoring in clinical research can be defined as reciprocal between the two. Again, you say, oh, how can it be reciprocal? It is reciprocal because the mentor sometimes learns things from the mentee, particularly in this era when the younger generation is much more fluent in terms of using the electronic gadgets and reaching the source for some information and all that. Yes, the mentor learns a lot from that. And likewise, the mentee advance in advancing in his career or her career, they are actually the protege of the mentor who is a senior faculty member, right? So this is how it goes. It is aimed, or the objective or aim of is fostering the development of the junior person. That is the whole thing about it. One may or may not get a benefit from, I mean, the mentor may not get the benefit, but still it is good. Like it is, you feel happy that somebody you trained, somebody you mentored is being successful and so on. So in clinical research, the mentoring or mentor-mentee relationship is very much on, and people look upon it, the person, right, for who has mentored them. So who can be a mentor? This is the question. Who can be a mentor? Everybody can be a mentor? Well, it depends. First of all, there should be a willingness to help, willingness to spend time. It is not that you say, okay, I will be mentor, but then you are not in a position to give time. So that is why it has to be there, right? And with kind of right attitude, means somebody who is a considerate individual, right? Who can, deal with different personalities, can deal with individuals. So who will select this? Can a mentee select a mentor? Yes, sometime, yes. In some institution, there is a list posted and the mentees are, allowed to select from those. The person, sometime a very popular personality among the list of mentor, and there are too many mentees wanted to. So then the institution decides the preference, who should get the preference, and so on. That's why they collect all the details of a mentee and the detail of the mentor. Who will give them? Well, sometime it is available, sometime maybe senior colleagues, senior students, right? They may help in selecting the right kind of mentor. Again, depend on the attitude. Some people say that those who are very successful and who are well-known, maybe well-known and famous, they can be better mentor, or those who are, very much, may have very much advanced knowledge with relation to their work, only they can be good mentor. Well, may not be always true. Again, as I said, depends on the personality. Sometimes we have seen very successful scientists or leaders in their disciplines turn out to be not good mentors. Well, again, because it all depends on the personality, or because they are very, very busy, right? They don't have time. They can't think about other things as well. So one needs to be selective about when it comes to a chance is given to, that you may find somebody who is a great achiever as far as the success in science and the discipline is concerned, or very famous about his clinical practice and so. But one need to consider whether the person would be able to spend time or not. Those are the kind of things one need to assess. So sometimes there is another type of mentoring that is observed, and these days this is quite common. Peer mentorship. That is from your own surrounding or even outside, because nowadays people develop linkages, friendships at the internet. So there is a trend of peer mentorship that is increasingly being recognized having unique strengths, particularly in fostering success of underrepresented groups. Because some people, those who are underrepresented, they don't get chance. They are sometimes very shy to come face to face and discuss their problems with somebody they know, right? So that is why on this, through internet, people have used this channel, writing their issues, writing their problem and discussing and developing the mentorship. There are some, such say websites available, one can look. But first thing is the trust. As I said, trust is the most important thing. Sometimes what happens that you don't want your things to be disclosed. Do you think somebody who is your teacher, who is senior, would disclose your secrets? Secrets means your confidential things with somebody else. Unfortunately, in our culture, sometime knowingly or sometime unknowingly, we tend to discuss the confidential matters of an individual. Or sometime we don't realize that something is confidential. If a person has talked about his or her problems or issue, you must not talk or mention this to anyone else. And that kind of things one need to be very careful. And this you can judge. How can you judge? Sometime, because I can share with you that we used to have a kind of weekly meeting with very senior person. And this very senior person, without realizing, when you go and see him, without realizing that what he is mentioning, in the sense that whatever he had a discussion with the previous person, in the previous meeting, he would laughingly mention, he was thinking of this. And that is something which is, in fact, a breach of the confidentiality. But out of, sometimes without realizing, we do this. We pass on, we learn about somebody, and we pass on this information to another person, or to discuss it, or to even to mention it. These are the kind of things which you can judge. A mentee can judge about that, who can be a best mentor, because the habits, because the style of a person can tell you whether your confidentiality would be broken or not. So these are the kind of things which, first thing, that is to trust and look into that, how much a person can keep your confidentiality to himself if you discuss those things. The academic matters and others, they can come later on, right? Sometime, you have supervisor. And that is why some people say, can supervisor be a good mentor? Well, yes or no. Sometime can be, sometime not. Because some supervisor thinks that their role is only to discuss the academic matters. Only non-academic things the person should sort out, him or herself. But sometimes the supervisor can be also good mentor too. So these are the kind of things one needs to look into, that how the person behaves, and then this play a role in the selection of a good mentor. Then there are terminologies that are being used. Is there a difference between mentoring and coaching? Is mentoring just like coaching? Like coaching of a game, coaching of something else, right? Or do they use same approach, coaching and mentoring? Because in terms of coaching, there is always an emphasis that the coach emphasizes on certain things, certain tasks, right? And that must be achieved. And mentor moves in a little softer way. So mentor is slightly different from the coach. And some people have suggested to adopt developmental mentoring approach, which develops the mentee's confidence and skills, right? And the coaching tends to be short-term and task-based. Okay, one particular game is coming up or one particular thing is to do. You must learn, develop skills and all that. The time, once that thing is over, the time of coach is over. Mentoring tends to a long-term relationship. That is, you develop with somebody you like to discuss. For instance, there are so many unofficial mentors are there, even in the games, in the cricket and others. The seniors, they do mentoring of the juniors. Likewise, in academics, there are maybe senior colleagues, as I mentioned about the peer mentoring, and there are, teachers with whom you sit and talk, who have time, who can, be considerate, so they can be a good mentor. Yes, indeed, there is a difference between coaching and mentoring. Two should not be used interchangeably because mentoring is a long-term relationship. So your views. So far, what I have said, can think about your views. Write it down, maybe for yourself, and see whether your views change with the time and with experience. For instance, which of the two categories in mentoring, coaching and mentoring, maintains non-judgmental relationship? Can they maintain a long non-judgmental relationship? Reciprocal relationship? And none of the above? Write down your answer and let's see, right? So you write your views and see, and maybe search for where you can find the answer. So what do these terms mean to you? Raise a mentee's self-awareness. Whose job is this? Mentor. Sometime, you sit with your mentee and you listen. If the mentee finds that the mentor is listening to his or her, whether it's a story, whether it's an issue, paying attention or not, then the mentee can judge, okay, this person can be a good mentor for me. Because we have come across, in my experience, that there are individuals, seniors, and they don't, you start talking and they don't pay attention to what you are talking. Some people say, oh, their attention span is very small. They just don't listen for. So those are the kind of things which one need to look, that the person is in fact paying attention to what you are. And then the mentor raises mentee's self-awareness. For instance, in return, after listening to a story or something else, the mentor can make the mentee realize, that is a good mentor's quality, that look, you have so many talents, you have this. And in a positive way, even if there is a weakness, that should be told in a positive way. Look, this is how it should be done. Not, for instance, I still remember when I was doing my PhD, and first of all, the supervisor would walk in the lab and with a smile and wouldn't say anything, ask for anything. How are things and this, and talk about Pakistan and all. And then I know that he would feel happy if I tell him, look what I have done. He wouldn't ask, what have you done yesterday? Then I will show him something. Look, I did this experiment and these are the results. And if the results are not good, he wouldn't say, oh, no, you have done no. Never said that. I remember. He would start with, If I were you, I would try it like this. That was, so comforting. The way he used to, let you know that, look, this is the kind of thing you can do better, improve yourself. So these, and he knows that you can do better, right? Then the mentor is the one who should avoid leading questions. Ask the question that help shape the future. These are the qualities one should look into. And in these terms, try to find out more you can add to the be present. Yes, present when you go to see him, but also at the same time, don't expect that every time you go, right, he or she would be there to talk to you. No, they are busy people. But should not happen repeatedly, right? And ask permission, yes. I mean, these are the terms which you need to look into. Permission of whose permission? Mentors or mentees or someone else? Yes. There are things which one should not take for granted or talk about something. Matters related to family, matters related to personalities. That is why it is important. Then there are some suggestions for the mentors and mentees. Mentors and mentee both should agree on objectives of their meetings, objectives of their relationship, the measurements, what they want to look at of success, how would they judge, and expectation from each other, or whatever is. Then the ways of working, okay, this confidentiality I already mentioned. So all these things are important. And this is how mentor and mentee relationship, these are the issues, these are the, elements they should look into. There should be some kind of balance, flexibility, and firmness at the same time. The balance and flexibility. Flexibility and firmness balance should be there because sometimes the mentor may be very firm, other time shows flexibility depending on the situation. Likewise, the mentee make the most meeting time when he or she says, okay, I am coming to see you, or there is a time fix, should be there, right? Spend time. Mentor give mentees room to discover and grow. Yeah. Okay, find out, go. Because particularly it happens in research, particularly this happens in certain type of other practices, that some mentors are, or those are the supervisor, may not be good mentors. And some individuals, I should say, who say, okay, I will tell you what to do. I will tell you how to do, rather than giving the chance to the mentee to discover, to find out what is the best way, and then mutually agree upon one thing. These are the kind of things need to be looked at. Be prepared to learn from the mentee. Yeah. When we said reciprocal, yes, there are things like I mentioned about these electronic gadgets and many other things, which mentee can be, or maybe better than the mentor. So, like in that case, mentee can be a resource for the mentor. But this must not be exploited. Let me tell you, कि मेरे लिए बाजार से जरा सब्जी ला दो, right? Or I mean, do these things. That is, mentor should be very, very careful. That time is gone when students used to do things, home groceries for the mentors. No, not at all. So the mentor know that no one mentor can provide all. Yeah, that is the thing. Even sometimes some mentors are so sensitive about their positions and things that if their mentee goes and talk to someone else, they feel threatened. This shouldn't be the case. The mentor should be accommodative. Even if the mentee goes to somebody else, that's his or her right. So what? So this should be allowed, right? And the mentee be prepared for the relationship to evolve between the mentor and the mentee. Those are the kind of things. Then can you add something else? What else? Think about. What more? Then suggest about. So keep a note when you are meeting a mentor or would-be mentor sometime. That, like many people say, let's have a pilot run. Try to develop relationship, short-term relationship maybe with individuals whom you have listed about that, whether they can be a good mentor to you or not. Sit with them, watch them, observe in what way the mentor is behaving. Some shout, some don't. It's up to you. If you don't, or if you are used to that, somebody can shout at you. If you are not, because individuals, no matter what you say, they are sensitive, right? So these are the kind of things that the behavior is very important. Then also keep a note of what effect is the mentor's behavior having on the mentee in the mentoring relationship. This you can check with past mentee who has been with that individual. There are sometimes, things go in this way that a person may not be very humble or very polite, but the person can give you some kind of tips, can guide you in many different ways, and you would be willing to accept that. You would be willing to, kind of exchange for that. Or so those are the kind of things you need to look at. Share any similar experience you have had, either as a mentor or mentee, that you can share with somebody so it can be useful for. And in this way, one can help selecting a good mentee. So provide feedback. Feedback this is a very important thing. I meet, but I don't say, I don't pass a comment, I don't, advise on that basis. If I am a mentee, I have this habit. And if I am a mentor, I never give feedback. But feedback is always very important, right? The mentors should get mentees' perception. What do you think about these things? I mean, one can have a candid opinion about, right? And consider serving a criticism sandwich. This is an interesting term somebody used. Criticism sandwich. Maybe sometime polite, then hard, and polite again. This is criticism sandwich. Very critical, then accommodative, and then, again critical. So things go in balance. It's not that you are always critical. I get this kind of comments with the colleagues and friends. Whenever there is something, people say, oh, you always, criticize. Well, maybe. Well, this happens. Individuals sometimes look into these. And I learned this thing also, that one should not look at the negative things always. It's so interesting. I think it's in Surah Maida or some, not Surah Maida, Surah Hud. I was reading that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that जो तर्जुमे में कि नेकियां बुराइयों को खा जाती हैं, ये कितनी बड़ी ब्लेसिंग है हमारे लिए कि नेकियां बुराइयों को खा जाती हैं। ये नहीं कहा अल्लाह ताला ने कि बुराइयां नेकियों को खा जाती हैं। And this is very important thing that, and we should behave in the same way. Look into the positive aspect. That's why some people say. So sometimes that attitude can help you in selecting a good mentor. Well, if a mentor provide you good feedback, okay, if he or she is critical, take it, because the time will come when you will be praised, right? Critical and praised, critical. That is again a sandwich. Praised and then critical. That will go on. And this is how you can look into. So express criticism as perceptions. Sometimes, yeah, when you say the criticism, don't be definite about that thing. This is the job. This is the quality of a good mentor. Not always very candid, criticism and so. Criticize the product. Yes, not the person, not the individual. One should not, for instance, if a person says, oh, तुम हमेशा गलत करते हो, not a good thing. Oh, something is wrong. Something has gone wrong, rather than saying you have done something wrong. And those are that gives the person, the mentee, a chance to explain, rather than saying, oh, you have spoiled this. If you say something has gone wrong, that is not a kind of direct criticism to the individual. These are the kind, we need to be careful. The mentor and even mentee, careful in selection of words, that it makes a big difference. And one can discuss them also. If there is something not right, discuss the ways to improve that, how things can be improved. Try your best to close the feedback loop. To close the feedback loop means when the feedback has come, okay, then try to correct it, right? So that feedback gives you a chance to correct that, okay? These are important things, important aspect that one can always find useful. Right. So that feedback loop, right? This is how you can look, you can do things to put it back, take the measures to put it back in the required kind of situation which you want it, right? That is how it goes. So mentee should look upon the mentor for the difference between support and challenge. Yeah. Some mentor may be so good who just keeps supporting. Then some always put a challenge to you. Shouldn't there be a balance between the two? Well, challenge, yes. Challenge is that when I also remember that when I tell something about to my supervisor, look, I don't know how to do it. His response was, your project, you look into, you decide. That's a challenge. And at other occasion, would support. Look, these are the what kind of support he used to do it? In those days, there were no computers. And he was someone who would spend at least hours, 1 or 2 hours in the library every day. And whenever he, say, used to come across a good reference, he would drop a card up telling me, go and read that. That's support, that's help. It's not that he's copying and putting it everything to. And those are the kind of things one can look into. That is what is also important, that a mentor does not approach always a directive style. The style should be non-directive. I have already discussed this in a way, and give feedback. And remember, mentoring involves learning on both sides, that we keep repeating. So research mentors students' perspective. A student who has been mentored in research So the perspective of that student is those students describe mentors as colleagues who gave them opportunities to grow. Isn't it very useful? That is the kind of things one should look into, that the mentors who let you grow rather than they keep you under their thumb always. Oh, why have you done this? I wanted you to do it this way. No, they let them grow. Unfortunately, it is very difficult to accept that someone you have mentored and that person can, your mentee can grow bigger than you. But that is the nature. That is important. If that doesn't happen, there will be no progress, isn't it? If your mentee doesn't grow bigger than you someday, yes, and that is your success. So this kind of attitude and things a mentor should have, because at some places the mentor says, "Oh, do as I said to you." Valued then the student valued mentors with whom they identified on the basis of demographic similarity. Find it easy. Say no harm. If I speak Hindi and he speaks Hindi, that's good, isn't it? Comfortable. Sometimes we don't see that as a positive sign. It is, because there are a lot of things you can discuss with the person, right? And then shared values as well as those who challenge them in their academic and research endeavors. Yes, those are the mentors who do that. So mentor relation can be broadly, sorry about the misplace, characterized as focusing on growth and development of individual. Yes. To as the protege. Yes, this is my protege. I will feel proud that the person is growing. Providing broad range of support, including professionally and psychological support. Yes. That you can always, if you are a mentee, you can always find out by few meetings that this person can be a good mentor if the person has these characteristics and so. So it is personal and reciprocal in nature. By the way, I have inserted all these references so one can always, have a look and read more about. These are large articles. Knowing the ethics, this is something very important, that the mentee must know the ethic. Authenticity, if you talk about something, what that has to be authentic. Originality, it is not that you copied it from someone and then presenting it to your mentor. Accuracy, yes, to all detail. Credit, if it is not yours, give the credit to wherever you have, right, got it from. Ethical treatment. Ethical treatment, humans must be treated ethically, and also animals, if your research involves animals. That one must know. We have dealt with this in earlier sessions, I think, on ethics and integrity. And disclosure of the conflict of interest. If you are asking some question from your mentor, disclose it. This is because my friend needs it. This is what my friend thinks, or this is my friend, needs to know the opinion because that poor fellow is not being guided. Something like that. Or there are anything in which you can have a conflict of interest. Your brother or sister wants something and you are not disclosing to your mentor. Those are the ethics that must be there, must be followed when you are dealing with research or anything. So, well, mentoring graduate students is rewarding. Why do people feel mentoring graduate students is rewarding as compared to undergraduate? The undergraduate actually needs more time. Number two, that it will be some time before they become or they show their value in science or in that discipline. So it takes time to feel that by the time they are forgotten, they have forgotten you and you have forgotten them. But in graduates, yes, because they are mature and things. This is natural, but this happens. So the graduate students they start expert researcher, some are novice, yes. When graduate, both experts, yes, the mentor and the mentee, colleagues and friends are there more. Mentoring becomes mutual and impact very important. This is what the thing some people like. That is why mentoring graduate is easier also. And maybe, I don't know if the word reward is correct, more rewarding. No, the mentor should not look for a reward. Reward is success of the mentee. That is it. That is the thing, kind of thing. Okay. Is research supervisor a mentor? Question I put to you. Look for the answers. Maybe yes or no. Depends again, individuals. How deep, how far that person, your supervisor, is willing to go with you. Right? You define a research problem and it helps develop research project leading to PhD. So the supervisor and mentor, because you spend a lot of time with the supervisor, so naturally sometimes your supervisor becomes your mentor or adopts the role of mentorship. There may be other mentor too. Ensure student has skills needed and all that. So good supervisor can be. Then the difference, mentoring involves personal. If supervisor is helping you in many personal things, well, no reason why not. Faculty advisor may or may not be a mentor. Somewhere it is, but the relationship may not be ideal. Mentor may not be research supervisor, may not be from the same field. This is also true. There are some other individuals, but sometime there can be some difficulties because that person, if he or she is not on the same field, that person needs to be well versed about your discipline, about what are the opportunities and things there. This is important. So role model may not be a mentor. Difficult. Well, somebody very good role model, but thing is, when it comes to mentoring, I have seen people just refuse. Sorry, go and learn yourself. This is how I learned myself, right? These are the kind of things that happens. So supervisor assume the mentor. Yeah. Are you looking for an ideal mentor? What is an ideal mentor? Well, sorry to say, no such thing, as people say, no such thing as a profile or an ideal mentor or mentee. It may also be so that I may turn out to be a good mentor for one individual and then for the next one may not. Because the situation changes, right? Be prepared for that. Maybe my family situation, I was able to spend more time, and with the second lot, I was not. And likewise, there are so many other things. तो उस पे फिर then they say, oh, हमारे वक्त में तो ऐसे नहीं थे ये, ऐसा कैसे हो रहा है? And those are the kind of things you need to look into. Success depends on both drive and ability to mentee. That is the drive. That is the willingness I was talking about. If I have that, yes. But sometimes in some institutions, they are kind of imposed upon you. As a result, you cannot do justice with the mentee and the mentee suffer. That is institution's fault. So willingness, availability, and knowledge of the mentor is important. One mentor does not fit all. Yeah. People may seek, develop, and maintain several mentors. I remember one of my colleague, he was so patient with one of the mentee. She was assigned to him, and that unfortunate or poor lady was from very kind of, rural background and had never, uh, uh, exposed before. And every time, uh, in a day, for 1 or 2 hours, she used to sit with him, and he was so patient, so patient. We used to admire him. Look at this person. He never was, say, no. And these are the kind of things one need to look into if somebody is coming to you. So mentor-student relationship, it's very interesting thing. Number one, who is a mentor? Why is an interested counselor? In academics, mentor is often used synonymous with faculty advisor. We have seen, may or may not. A fundamental difference between mentoring and advising is more than advising. More than advising, right? Mentoring is a personal and well-professional relationship. And this, the mentee should understand all these things. An advisor might or might not be a mentor. Okay, good. So mentoring relation develops over an extended period. Like this is what we have seen in case of coach. The coach for a specific task and a specific duration, but the mentoring relationship that keeps going on even after the graduation, after the person has become professional and so on, during which students need to, and the nature of the relationship tend to change. Yeah. A mentor will try to be aware of these changes. This is the thing. Then now the student is maturing. What kind of, advice that a student would need. So the relationship varies with the level and activities of both. Yes. Previously I had time. Now I don't have that kind of time. So I may not be able to spend that time. So in general, however, each relationship must be based on a common goal. And that common goal is based on trust. That is the major thing. To advance the educational and personal growth, the student, yes, you as a mentor also be benefit enormously, definitely. There is no single formula. Mentoring styles and activities change. Different students will require different amounts of kinds of attention and advice. Yes, this is important. So students for their part need to understand that is the mentee's job. The professional pressures in time constraint faced by the mentors. Busy individual, right? This allowance must be given to them and not view them as merely means of impediment to their goal. No. For many faculty, mentoring is not their primary. They can say, oh, it's not my responsibility. Well, not responsibility, but still, if you are considerate, you would. In fact, time spent with the student can be time taken from their own research, yeah, or maybe in case of clinician, practice. So, sacrifice. Students are obliged to recognize the multiple demands. Yes, that is what students or mentees throw. Now, this is very interesting thing. I am going to cut it short. That parable on mentoring. There was a rabbit who was moving around and doing research, doing PhD perhaps, hard work and so, and in came a wolf. And the wolf asked, how about having you for dinner? So rabbit said, please wait, let me finish my research on wolves and until I write a paper. Oh. So the wolf, next thing is that the wolf asked, what is this? He said, if you come down with me, I will show you what I am doing. So the wolf went there and never came out. Well, then the second wolf came and then same thing happened and he also never came out. So the lesson learned is that no matter who you are, right? What matters is who is your mentor. Because down there, when the wolf went, there was a tiger sitting as a mentor. Well, the tiger doesn't necessarily, I am saying, it must be an aggressive person, but a wise person. And so, who can teach, right, the mentee about tips and tricks and disciplines of life, and that person would come out successful. This is the role of mentor and the acceptance of the mentee. Thanks very much. I think we... Hello? Dr. Said.
Alaikum. Thank you so much for a wonderful lecture, Dr. Siddiqui. I'm just trying to unmute everybody. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. I think Abdul Hai has a question. You can ask a question yourself, Abdul Hai. If I can.
Supervisors are not playing a role of.
Sorry?
The supervisors are not playing a role. Sir, supervisors are not playing a role of mentoring most of the time, like in our program FCS. And to find out mentor outside is also a difficult task. Sir, can you give us a piece of advice? How can we continue research work without a mentor?
Well, the basic thing
Sir,
is,
it
as it
possible?
goes, it is possible, but you have to keep supervisor online with you, right? Keep him informed. This is the most important thing. Never try to go out and do it by yourself or under advice of anybody else. The reason is because this is their official duty. So they will be questioned if anything goes, anything goes wrong. But there are options also that if supervisor is not playing the role of supervisor, well, there is a difference between supervision and mentoring. So if the role of supervision is not being played, then in most places, there is an option to change the supervisor. Well, it does then, it is quite cumbersome, but you can find out the ways how can you make supervisor happy. Maybe sometime it's your hard work, right? Or that put some more work, more time so that he or she would be happy. Or maybe if you are going to another person as a mentor, be careful also that there is no exchange, no mention whether your supervisor is helping you or not or so. That thing you need to, this is, you see, that supervisor and you both must keep everything confidential. Otherwise, your supervisor will be unhappy. That why did you mention it to somebody? So you have to be very, very careful. You may talk to mentor about certain issues, that how can we do, without mentioning that they was related to you or your supervisor is not helping. Likewise, if you mention something to a mentor, don't share it to supervisor, because supervisors also, some supervisors are very kind of accommodative and they open, handed welcome. Okay, if somebody can help, go and take. Because nowadays what is happening, that the research is such that no single person can teach you everything. This is what happens. If you see expertise, just sit down with your supervisor, have regular meetings with him and say, look, this is what we can do. If someone else is doing it, we may, seek help from that. In this way, maybe you have to be a little bit tricky, but never break the confidentiality and trust. That is the important thing.
Dr. Siddiqui,
difficult question. Sorry?
Thank you so much for a very comprehensive presentation. I just wanted to ask, so it seems like mentorship is, number one, a product of one's approach to life as a mentor. Not everybody develops into a mentor. And secondly, it is related to the environment the mentor is functioning in. So if there is too much pressure on, non-mentorship activities, generating activities, etc., then mentorship cannot take place in that environment. And not everybody is willing to, share that experience which they have accumulated over time with their mentees. So those two things, I think, highlight your presentation here. So it's basically, we choose a mentor who is somebody who's willing to do that, or
Yeah,
switch to someone else. Isn't that
true.
the case?
Yes, true.
Sometimes you may have to switch
But
environment.
yeah, somebody, you see a big personality who has been very successful in things. So ideally you would like to, go to that person, but also see at the same time whether that person would be available or not. For if you are working for a degree or other similar program, you should set what are your objectives which you want to achieve, because time is an important consideration in that. Within 1 or 2 years, you must do this. So try to be, to select somebody with whom you can feel easy and with whom you can at least get the minimum requirement done. Sometimes what happens that some individuals, they think that, oh, by doing research, they can earn Nobel Prize even in their, master's research or PhD research. So they never considered their supervisor. I have seen cases where one of the PhD student never went to his supervisor telling about his work. And on the day of the Viva, or before that, when he went for the thesis submission, he said, okay, you've done all of it. He said, yes. So he thought the supervisor would feel happy. Oh, you have done all of it alone. But then the supervisor said, okay, see you as an examiner. And that poor guy was failed. He said, you never came to me. So the meetings are very important between the supervisor, between the mentor and the mentee and the supervisor. So the job of, if supervisor is difficult, then the job of the mentor is to show you, rather than say, okay, I will do it, I will help. No, show you the ways that how can you, involve your supervisor, how can you do better, be a considerate. Supervisor, leaving the supervisor or changing the supervisor is not also easy thing. Let me tell you.